Right then, hello, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whatever it is, wherever you are, and whenever you happen to be who you are, if that makes sense. My name is Paul, I'm also called Knack. I'm the brains behind Knack's Daily Teaser, which is a set of fun daily quizzes. I'm also the man behind the blog where you can put the answers to those teasers. It's called Knack's Old Peculiar for it, and I will try and stick links to them in that corner up here if I remember. The brain is not what it was 20 years ago. At any rate, I'll try and link to those. But I also, on top of endless amounts of quizzes, I also talk about movies when I get to see one that holds my attention. I also talk about TV shows that I've been watching and enjoying over the past few months. Right at the moment, it's the 5th of April, and I have nothing else to do apart from tell you about the first episode of Star Trek Discovery's 5th and final sequence, or series. It's called Red Directive, and this is what I thought of the episode. Episode 1 of this 5th series, Red Directive, opens with a summary of Season 4 and then shifts to show us Captain Michael Burnham, Sonequa Martin Green, of the USS Discovery, standing on top of a rogue mercenary ship flying at a very high warp speed and trying, with help from her crew, to disable the ship's engine. The scene shifts again to 4 hours earlier to show us Captain Burnham in a diplomatic dress uniform at a diplomatic event with, amongst others, Lieutenant Commander Stamets, Dr. Kelber, Adira Dahl, and Lieutenant Tilly, Anthony Rapp, Wilson Cruz, Blue DeBarrio, and Mary Wiseman, all of whom are literally chewing over old times when the Federation was younger and discussing the fact that the Federation is now a millennium old. It's only after the team have found out why the cocktails are blue, why Commander Stamets is unsettled, and not noticed Saru having a very long conversation with President Tarina Vulcan, that Captain Burnham gets a message from no less a person than the Federation President, Relic, Sheila Halstel, unseen in this episode. The Captain, according to the President's orders, has to mingle. At least has to mingle until she meets Admiral Vance, Oded Fair, who hands her a very small figure of 8 shaped jewellery that whisks her off to meet Dr. Kovich, David Cronenberg, in what Kovich calls the Infinity Room. Lots of white space, lots of cameras zooming in and out. Don't know where they got that idea. But at any rate, Dr. Kovich has a very important job for Captain Burnham. Get to an abandoned 800-year-old Romulan ship that's drifting on the edge of the old neutral zone, get a mysterious item that's on that ship, and get it fast. Why were there balloons? Never work out why there's balloons. At any rate, this job, according to Kovich, is a red directive, the highest priority orders the Federation can issue. Orders that, as Captain Burnham reminds her crew, are going to be dangerous. Now, what did I make of this opening episode? What did I make of Red Directive? It has to be said, especially since Season 3, overall, certainly, but especially since Season 3, Star Trek Discovery has had some strong opening episodes, and this particular one seems to be the strongest opener of the lot, especially as it opens by throwing us right into the middle of things, in media res, showing us Michael Burnham trying desperately to stop a mercenary ship that's going at faster than light speeds through a warp bubble. It's introduced us to a new pair of villains, Lack and Moll, Elias Tefexis and Eve Harlow. Now, if Eve Harlow's hair doesn't mind you of Chris in Blade Runner or Hattie in Asuka, I don't know what will. It's very much that white bob. But either way, the pair seemed very much in the mould of Baylan Skoll and Shin Hattie from Asuka, but also, to me, of Terry Pratchett's Pin and Tulip. Go look those two up. Along with all of that, the episode has introduced us to a third recurring character, Captain Rayner of the USS Antares. I think he's going to be this show's equivalent to Captain Shaw in Star Trek Picard. Stroppy, a pain in the bum, but coming through at the last minute. We'll have to see how that goes over the course of the series. all of that, and it introduces an apparent one-off character, a synth, a song-type android, similar to Data, called Fred, acting as a fence on a world called Koala, if I've got the spelling correct. Fascinating little character, reminded me of Law. I'd love to know what his backstory is. He's a robot. Let's bring him back to life in a new body, shall we? At any rate, the episode introduces us to all of that lot and reintroduces us to some old familiar faces. David Ajola is back as Book, Mary Wiseman is back as Tilly, and of course Doug Jones as the ever-dependable Saru. That means that this episode features some welcome returns and some interesting new characters. Red Directive does something else as well. About the one thing I do like with most of the Star Trek franchise is there's a certain amount, huge amount, of world building going on. And that our main Discovery characters normally have to show that they know something about what's come after their time. It started as a prequel to the original series of Star Trek, after all. So our characters have to show they know a little of what's come after their time. But they can't necessarily show us everything, or they can only sometimes show us only so much as is needed. When Discovery, or at least when Red Directive shows us this in this part of the Star Trek universe, it does so with a little reminder. It tells us that Dr. Colbert and Lieutenant Commander Paul Stamets know a little about song-type androids. They've picked up a little about it in their various studies while they've been in the 32nd century. And they tell us this when they do the post-mortem on Fred, on that song-type android, who, it has to be said, absolutely fascinated me and I'd like to see back in. He's a robot, they can put the brain in another body. At any rate, it shows us what the pair have learnt about their new home, their new world, and reminds us of what a song-type android, what a synth is. The episode also shows us the MacGuffin that Mol and Lack and Dr. Kovic are all after. That Romulan diary in the puzzle box that Fred opens. Fascinating bit of work, that. That diary contains notes written by a long-dead Romulan scientist called Velik, one who had, in a Star Trek The Next Generation episode called The Chase, helped Jean-Luc Picard himself find an ancient race of progenitors. That book that gives away that planet's position is something both the Federation and Kovic are interested in. And I get the impression right here and now that book is going to be running through the whole of this series. It's the official MacGuffin. Right, I can hear what you're asking right now. You're saying, Paul, did you enjoy Red Directive? Does it look like a good opening episode? Answer 1, yes, I did enjoy it, and didn't I just love it as well? It's a very solid sound opening episode. It reintroduces us to everybody. It introduces new characters and new potential villains, and it shows us the MacGuffin that's going to be driving the episode. It's got me looking forward to both the rest of the season and to that next opening episode, Under the Twin Moons. Now, I am not going to be watching that episode next week. Oh no. I am going to be watching that next episode tomorrow, on Saturday the 6th of April, and posting my reviews on Sunday the 7th. Purely simply because Paramount Plus released the first 2 episodes on the same day, yesterday. That's why I watched it on Thursday. I will be watching this next episode tomorrow, and I will see you next week for episode 3. I'll tell you what that's called tomorrow night, on Sunday night. I will see you then. Please subscribe. Please feel free to hit the notification bell. And whatever you do, be seeing you.